First things first, back here with Greg Jennings, and we're talking the New England Patriots this Friday morning. We still don't know who will be under center week one, Cam Newton or Mac Jones. Cam looked good in his first day back at practice yesterday after a 5-day stint in COVID protocol. Word is he was efficient and he was back up to speed. That after a solid, impressive week of work from Mac in Cam's absence, but Bill Belichick still not ready to spill anything before joint practice yesterday. Take a listen.
At what point do you have to sort of transition here from the spirited quarterback competition to having a starter, giving them the majority of the reps, and getting them prepared for Miami and to be the starter throughout the rest of the year?
Yeah, I don't have a timetable on that, Chris, so can't tell you.
I mean, do you feel like, I know you said you don't have a timetable, but do you feel like that's something that's coming up soon here as we get to the end of training camp? You'll approach that or make that decision at the end of training camp here?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure exactly how that'll go.
Oh, the gift that keeps on giving. Nick, you buying that Belichick doesn't know who his week one starting quarterback will be, and we're about 2 weeks out from the start of the season?
Yeah, absolutely I'm buying it. And I think Belichick's going to use every last moment to try to figure this out and to make sure Cam Newton doesn't have another protocol slip-up. I think if Goodell sent out a memo was like, oh my goodness, guys, screw up in league office, season actually starts this Sunday, not a couple Sundays from now, Cam Newton would be the starter. I feel confident in that. Even though Mac Jones made up some ground and Mac Jones had the really good practice Wednesday in Cam Newton's last day, I think Cam Newton is still in the lead. But I don't think Belichick is going to make the decision until a week before the first game. So I think he's going to use, obviously, the rest of today and then all of next week for evaluation purposes, and then name his starter headed into, as we're on, the days leading in to week one opening with the Bucs and the Cowboys on Thursday Night Football. I think that it would be a different story if Cam hadn't just missed that time, because Cam, while not being named the starter, was clearly going to be the starter. And now I think that door is open. And I personally believe, even though the Patriots, Greg, did a nice job of, I don't want to say covering it up, but covering for Cam a bit. They didn't kill him as far as what they released about why he violated protocol. They called it a misunderstanding. I think there was a bit of a fractured trust, as much as you're our starting quarterback. You need to know the rules and regulations to be available. So I think it put his job in more tenuous status. So I buy that he doesn't yet know who the starter is, but I think as of right now, the starter is likely Cam.
Yeah, I buy that he doesn't know who the starter is because Cam Newton has complicated things and he has opened the door and the questions of the what ifs because of the COVID protocol. But when you look at this situation, it's not even just what Cam Newton provides and what Mac Jones provides as far as talent and athletic ability at the quarterback position. It's upstairs. It's mental. It's the fragility there that Bill Belichick, I think, is more aware of than anyone of Cam Newton. Because you have a guy who is former MVP of the National Football League, who you have lobbied for, you have pretty much supported all last year, all offseason, and you said you believe in his abilities, you believe in his talents. However, you draft a first-round pick because you know this is going to be our future moving forward, not Cam Newton. But you feel like you owe him that opportunity, and then this happens. But if you start Mac Jones, if you just outright start Mac Jones, I don't know if you have Cam Newton in his most optimal mental state if anything were to happen to Mac Jones. And so that's why I think Bill Belichick is like, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to wait to the last minute to make sure I'm going to give even Cam Newton another opportunity while he gets his feet back under him in practice to show us that, yes, he is our day one starter.
Yeah, so I think Cam ends up starting against the Dolphins, and here's why. I think if we start Mac Jones is never coming out of the game. That means Mac Jones, if he remains healthy, should be the Patriots quarterback for the next decade. You're not going to start Mac Jones, and if he struggles, like pretty much all rookie quarterbacks will do, you're not going to go back to Cam Newton. But if you go the other way, you start Cam, let him play a little bit. Cam was benched 3 times last year. Let Mac Jones come in and see what he can do, and then you make the move. But I don't think you go rookie to vet. We saw they've opened up against the Dolphins. We saw Brian Flores do that. Brian Flores had Fitzpatrick in. Oh, we know that Tua is injured. Even though Fitzpatrick was winning, Tua got in. Tua's starting to see stuff, not used to it. He's winning games, throwing for like 90 yards. Then he starts to get a little confused by the defense. They want to win the game. Brian Flores trying to make a playoff push. So what does he do? All right, Tua, you're out. Fitzmagic is in. All right, that was a weird one-time thing. But Tua's still the starter. Huh? I'm a little bit confused. We need to go move forward a few more games. All right, 4th quarter, we're down. We need a spark. Oh, what was that, a spark? You want some magic? Here comes Fitzmagic back in. I think that really hurts Tua's development. I don't expect the Patriots to do it, Greg. I think it's just going to be clean. I think it's going to be Cam for a certain amount of time. And then if Cam loses that job, Mac will be ready to go. You go ahead, Nick.
And that's it.
No, I think that I was going to go to something else from last year, and Greg and I discussed this yesterday that I think is instructive, which is even when Cam got benched at the end of some games, Belichick, he didn't say, I don't know who's starting next week. He didn't waver.
That's right.
He always immediately said Cam's the starter. And we discussed it, Greg, on this show mostly as that's Bill Belichick being, you know, not paying tribute, but I'll say that, paying tribute to how hard Cam's worked and paying respect to what he has earned. And you know, we talked about what a good relationship they must have. You mentioned that that might have been part of it, but what also might have been part of it is that you might lose Cam mentally from the team if he is actually benched, if he is now your backup quarterback and not your starting quarterback, and that Belichick knows that if Mac Jones is the number 2, he probably expected, I'm probably going to be the number 2. I'm a rookie quarterback. There's a veteran quarterback on the team, and it's not going to hurt his buy-in or his ability to stay locked in throughout the season. That if Cam is told for the first time in his football life, you're not the starting quarterback, we have no idea what that will do to Cam's attentiveness, Cam's drive, any of these things. I'm not saying it'll go terrible, but nobody knows because Cam's never been in that spot. And I think you mentioned this yesterday, that Belichick is acutely aware of that.
He has to be. He has to be. When you think about Bill Belichick, like, he uses every man on his roster. He does not care what your ability is, what you've done last year. He's never cared so much. And yet we look at this situation with Cam Newton and it's like, why is he tiptoeing around it? Why did he tiptoe around it last year? And that's the only thing I can think of. You have a veteran guy who mentally can potentially, this be his last opportunity. Like, I just don't see Cam Newton saying, I'm going to sign up to be a backup quarterback this moment moving forward in my career. I just don't see that happening. And Bill Belichick understands I may need this guy at some point. If I pull the trigger now, I may not have him when I need him most.
Can I give you an alternate read on it? It was a little bit of Belichick having a fondness for Cam and the hard work that he put in, and also like the contract that he signed. I also think it's a little bit of Jarrett Stidham is not the guy. And Brian Hoyer, we tried to start him against the Chiefs, and we thought that he was going to be solid, and he's not the guy either. Cam, despite getting benched, is still our best option. And when the draft comes around, I'm going to call my buddy Nick Saban, and I'm thinking about Mac Jones. I bet he'll still be there. So I do think it's one part Belichick supporting Cam, but I think it's a decent part of they knew that Jarrett Stidham wasn't the guy, and Hoyer's lifetime backup was actually worse than they thought.
Hoyer doesn't, like Hoyer to me is a non-issue here, but I do think there are a lot of teams that even if Stidham looked bad in practice, even if they knew we're probably drafting a quarterback, might have, late in the season, said, we're going to let Stidham get a start because we did spend a draft pick on him. We went late into the offseason last year where it was looking like he was QB1 on the depth chart. And I do think that the fact that
Steak, that's you and your...
I get it. No, I get it.
The guy was, there were guys
they
in
did
football
that,
like great,
played a part
exactly
in it.
what
Now,
they were
at
looking
this
for.
point,
If
I don't think they're
but
as concerned about that if Cam really struggles because Mac Jones is first-round pick, and you're not going to give Cam Newton 3 years of kind of trial basis to figure it out. If it doesn't work out for Cam this year, he's not going to be on the Patriots. But I 1,000% agree with Greg that Cam Newton, I would be shocked if he ever signs up to be a backup quarterback. I think once Cam's days as a starter are done, Cam is going to retire. I think Cam has made too much money. He is too famous. He's too much of almost an NFL cultural icon to be like, hey, where's Cam Newton? It's like, oh, he's backing up Justin Herbert. I don't see that for age, a few years down the road for Cam. Once he's done being a starter, I think he's done playing. Dude, what is the list of guys who have won a league MVP at the position and then been like, now I'm a backup? I can't think of anybody. Like, did Rich Gannon maybe? I'm not sure. I just don't think.
Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner, sure, yeah. But Warner's story is a little different, right? You're bagging groceries, you're playing in the CFL.
Totally unique
then,
story.
then you're the MVP as opposed to Cam's Heisman Trophy #1 pick, Jenna.
Well, listen, Cam just showed